I'm going to talk about the VA benefits. I'm going to concentrate on pension, and because this is the Better Business Bureau relationship, it has to do with business. I'll also provide you some information so that your organizations may maybe contract with the Federal Department of Veterans Affairs, if that's of interest. Okay, first I always recognize Frank here. Frank was the last living World War I veteran. And yeah, he was, yes, during World War I, he served also. During World War II, he was a prisoner, was captured by the Japanese, and his wife died at 95. He continued to 110 farming, so I always salute Frank. Right. This is our commissioner. We are the Virginia Department of Veterans Service. We are a state agency. This is another hero. He lived for 7 years and was captured by the North Vietnamese, so he lived in the infamous Hanoi Hilton. We have 20 field offices around the state. Our purpose, what we do and for whom, is really to help veterans and dependents maximize their legitimate benefits from the Department of Veterans Affairs. Simply said, Congress has created a program to help veterans that have been injured, deceased, or acquired some type of mental condition, as well as their spouses and families while they're alive. And that's what we do. We help veterans get federal benefits. All our agents, I'm an agent, I'm the agent here in Charlottesville, and we are all accredited by the Department of Veterans Affairs to do what we do. And this is our the laws that we must apply. The Department of Veterans Services has a number of facilities for elder veterans. It's just for the veterans. Unfortunately, it's not for the spouse that's a non-veteran. Okay, so we have Citizen Barfoot, and there's some in the Hampton and other locations. Cemeteries. The Virginia Department of Veterans Services manages a number of cemeteries, and here are just 3 of them. Claims. A claim is really what you submit to the federal government, Department of Veterans Services, Affairs, more correctly, to request some type of benefit that you are eligible for, which you maybe incur, and you're eligible for those benefits. So here are a number of claims. I'll touch base on the red ones. Disability, there's pension, medical centers, burial, we talked a little bit about that, and appellate rights. Just because you submit a claim to the VA, it doesn't mean that you will be approved, or what they say, that you will be awarded that benefit for which you request. And of course, there are appellate rights if you get denied. And that's the most difficult part, really. First of all, it takes so long to get a claim approved. And normally, those who submitted claims on their own, I have to say, when that happens, when they get denied, they come to us. The medical centers is for veterans, and as all veteran benefits, you have to have been honorably discharged to get benefits. So for the living veterans, okay, this is a good deal, especially if you lose your job and you don't have any as a result of losing your job, you lose your medical coverage. So a lot of veterans are turning to this, especially at any time. I've seen young men and elder veterans when they retire and lose their medical. So this is a good thing. Okay? The nearest hospital for the VA is McGuire. Here in Charlottesville, we have a clinic. Okay? So they can go either location. Let's talk about disability compensation. A disability is when you serve active duty or even active duty for training. When that happens, you may have injured yourself, you may have acquired some type of disease, or I like to say you may have acquired some type of mental degradation. Today we call that PTSD. In the past we used to call it battle fatigue, for example. Okay, anything that happens to you, even if it's happened during a Sunday football match and you get hurt, you're eligible because it happened while you were in the military. You take my favorite veterans who happen to be the Vietnam veterans. I happen to be a Vietnam era veteran, but those who served in Vietnam are really one of the most unfortunate veterans that I deal with. Why? Because in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh did not tell us to use Agent Orange, and that defoliant is now recognized to have about 15 diseases associated with exposure. So you have to be boots on the ground in Vietnam. You have diabetes, prostate cancer, ischemic heart disease, Lou Gehrig's disease, and others. So every time I see a veteran, I ask myself, were you in Vietnam? And we'll talk about that. They are certainly veterans that are worthy if they have any of the diseases associated with Agent Orange. Not so with Korean War veterans. And of course, we have a different issue with recent veterans. Here are some of the disability rating. Okay. You also get vocational rehab. So this is an attempt to really provide good services to the veterans. In terms of compensation, when we talk about compensation, we're talking about providing a veteran monetary compensation depending on the degree of disability. The more disability, obviously, you can be 100% permanent and total. Okay? And if you have dependents, then you get additional monies because you have dependents. Okay? If you are 100% permanent and total, very recently there was legislation passed that you don't have to pay property taxes. So a lot of veterans are yes, but you know, okay. See? So that's a good thing. Virginia is it's attempting to be the number one. I think we're about 5th or 12th. It all depends on what criteria. Death benefits. We talk about death benefit. We're talking about just that. As a veteran, you can get a memorial plaque or burial benefits that may be $300 towards the funeral and $300 towards the memorial or the gravestone, wherever that is. Okay, all right. But if you die because of a service connection, a disability, let's say that you die because you had a heart attack and you were service connected for a heart condition, then the surviving spouse has a pretty good benefit that she'll get. She'll get, first of all, $2,000 towards the burial, and she get the better pension. We'll talk about pension later, but in this case, we're talking about pension that would pay her, I think it's something $1,500, $1,600 a month, and of course, for any disability payment from the VA is non-taxed, okay? In addition to that, the surviving spouse, if they did not retire from the military and are on TRICARE, which is the military health insurance, she'll get what is called CHAMP VA. Okay, so this is an attempt to really provide for the surviving spouses. That's it. Pensions. Okay. In order to receive a pension, first of all, you must have served during a time of war, even if you serve one day during a time of war. You must meet eligibility requirements. I just talked about the first one. You served at least one time during a time of war. The second thing is, I'm going to talk about the third item, number 3, because that's the one that if you don't meet that one, there's no flexibility, and I'll talk about the income. You must not have more than $80,000 in net worth, CDs, IRAs, cash in the bank. The VA will say, well, you know, because you have to disclose the information, they will say, you have enough. When you get down to that level, see us. Okay? It does not include your primary residence. But if you do have a second home or vacation home, that counts. No, no vehicles. Then you have to. You need a lawyer. You need a lawyer. Okay. I'll talk about. There are 3 levels of pension: the basic pension plus household, and basic pension with aid and attendance. And I'll talk about that momentarily. This is a pension with housebound benefit. You are a veteran or a surviving spouse that needs somebody to come in on occasions, do a little cleaning, or may just simply come in to help with the medication. But otherwise, if you need to go out, you have to be taken. You know, you can't provide your own transportation. All right? So, and the third tier available to a veteran or dependent is when you're helpless. You're either blind, bedridden, or you have dementia, or those conditions that make it really impossible for you to conduct normal business to take care of yourself. I'm going to compare pension and the monetary, the income requirements. So now I switched from being one day during a time of war. This is the income limitation, and we did talk about the maximum in terms of net worth. Income has some flexibility. The maximum income, and I put it here in red with a veteran with a spouse or a child, and that's a combined income of $15,000 with a veteran and a spouse, okay? So Congress says that you have this amount, $15,000, okay? Normally, a couple, if they're strictly on Social Security, okay, will have some type of income at this level. But if you subtract their fixed medical expenses, which includes Medicare Part B, also includes nursing home costs, if you subtract that and you fall below what Congress has said, this gap here represents the money in terms of monthly amount that you get. The more medical expenses, the bigger the gap, up to a maximum of about $1,600, okay? Compare the veteran with no dependents and the spouse with no dependents. Okay, it's about $3,800 difference. Okay. Asset transfer. One must relinquish all rights to property assets when attempting to reduce. There was a mention here, and this is that. There is no look back as in Social Security. Okay. And of course, there are some requirements in order to do that. Should you file a VA claim without a veteran service officer? Actually, you may. Okay? But please know what you're doing. That's the only thing. It takes now up to 9 months, but the backlog of claims is up to 15 months. And if you are denied for something that went, not proper, even submitting the right forms, okay, that's a tremendous waste of time when you're dealing with someone. A lot of the surviving spouses that come in are in the 80s with dementia. So I don't, and like the VA, they don't recommend that. Get a veteran service officers, okay? All right? Let's see. How to contract with the VA hospitals. I do have some handouts on this, okay? If you are so in your line of work, if this makes sense, do follow up. This is one person that I know you can contact, and this person will get you to the right place. Okay? Finally, any questions?